I hope you had a fantastic weekend. I get the question on a regular basis, the difference between AI mode and the AI overviews. So I'm going to dispel some of the misconceptions in there, kind of clarify what they actually are, and then share an interesting statistic as well as give you some really good takeaways from that so that you can stay at the top of the rankings, make sure that phone keeps ringing, as well as the kitty in the hopper keeps cranking away. So anyway, let's get started real quick here. It's actually based on a pretty large data set from Ahrefs the end of last year. But before we do that, I want to just kind of give you really a quick take. I just did a quick search here for AI overviews in AI mode in search. And this image came up, which is actually pretty decent. It gives you an idea as to kind of the direction of things in terms of where they actually come from. But this is not as important as actually even kind of this right here, which is not coming up. Let me go ahead and just do a view. Where are you here? Open image in a new tab. Here you go. Oh, that's very, 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 very small. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, ugly, ugly, ugly. So AR reviews is where, at the top of the search box, we actually see it. This is way too small for you guys. You can't actually see that. Let me go ahead and open this image in a new tab. That's a little bit better. Let me go ahead and expand it more here. Okay. So you guys are used to going into Google and you do a search, right? And it's that gray boxed area that kind of shows up. It's a combination of links from different companies, organizations, whatever, that allows a kind of a distilled answer, right? So it's using AI to kind of go through all that stuff from the Mayo Clinic or whatever it is, different sites, kind of mash it up, and based on your question, give an answer. Okay. The AI overviews is kind of a separate area completely, right? It's that mode at the top. If you actually, it's right up here. So AI mode, if you can see it in there, right? Actually see it right here, right? As opposed to it building directly in the actual search engine itself. So separate area. There's slightly different operations on how they work, but the big takeaway I want to get back to you guys is, I get a lot of the questions in terms of, okay, how does it affect, like, what do I do, right? So let's say you're not even showing up in the AI overviews area, this whole new area of AI in general, that specific section in there, right? In terms of AI mode, how do I rank for that stuff, right? So let me go ahead and distill that just a little bit for you. The study was done 730,000 responses last year in terms of what Ahrefs was able to review. And in all honesty, going through it, we're going to maybe just kind of pelt off some of the questions here. If your brand is cited in AI overviews, will it appear in AI mode too? That's the first question. No, actually, it's not always guaranteed. According to this article, there is a strong collaboration or strong similarity between the two, right? 89% of content is actually kind of overlapped, but that leaves 11% that isn't. Okay, they're actually coming from two different kind of perspectives in terms of algorithms. So do you need a separate optimization strategies for each? We can actually get into that in just a moment when I go down the page a little bit. The short answer to that is it's still based on fundamentals of marketing, right? Understand who you're targeting, right? What they're interested in, what their apprehensions are, who are your competitors, what makes you different, and then get that content in there in an interesting and engaging way. Of course, from a technology standpoint, make sure that you're not tripping yourself up with hurdles from a technology standpoint in terms of CMSs or plugins or speed issues or whatever. But the answer to that question is the fundamentals are still very, very much in place. And then what does it mean when two AI systems agree on what to say, but not where they found it? So this goes back to the citing issue, also in terms of citations as to who's actually building that content and how how connected or authoritative is that content, okay? So key findings in here, I'm not going to go through all of them with the exception of two. I think I have two of them in here. Well, no, there might be a couple in here. So citations overlap, right? So citations only overlap in 13.7% of the cases between AI overviews and AI mode, indicating they cite different sources in practice. World level overlap. There's very low, 16% of word level overlap between AI overviews and AI mode. That means of the, like, traditional, think traditional keyword, like, okay, I'm going to build that into a page kind of stuff. There's only about 16% overlap between those things. They start with the same first sentence only 2.5% of the time. So again, in terms of actual content, they can actually, what's being displayed is actually somewhat different in terms of that algorithm. Semantic similarity. This is where it gets interesting, right? So although the words might vary, the overall context of that stuff is similar 90% of the times, you guys. So AI mode and AI overviews agreed on what to say. They just said it differently and cited different sources. Okay. So again, they're coming from two different content areas, right? In terms of information. So you definitely want to make sure, again, go back to those basic principles, right? Who, what, when, where, why, and how. Okay. Entity overlap. Well, let's go through it. AI mode responses include 2.5 times more people and brand entities than AI overviews. But if your brand gets mentioned in AI overviews, there's a 61% chance it'll also appear in AI mode. AI mode's longer responses. What to do with that? Again, is there a big takeaway there? Probably not too much. Brand gets mentioned, AI overviews, 61 chance to appear. The whole concept. Let's shed a little bit of light on that. Brand gaps, 32.8% of responses had no person or brand mention at all. That means that 67% did, right? Have like a brand or person mentioned in there. Citation gaps, 3% of responses. AI mode doesn't cite any sources. AI overviews doesn't cite any sources 11% of the time. Either way, who's saying certain things does matter. Go back to the EAT concept that Google's constantly trying to talk to us about in terms of authority and connectiveness with people who are in the know and trusted. Okay, so the big takeaway, guys, is how does this impact, or seeing AI overviews and seeing AI mode, knowing that that's the direction that Google's actually going to be going down this path, continuing to push, right, where we're getting rid of all those blue links at some point. What do we do with that, right? So the concept here, guys, is this. I know that there's this word similarity is not, it's only 16%, but the overall concept of semantic similarity matters. So where to take this? The big takeaway here is understand who your target market is, what's your uniqueness in terms of your products or services in your geographic area. Identify very clearly in your brain what makes you different and why they need to buy from you. We're going back to it. So you got to do some competitive analysis on that too. Okay. So all goes back to unique value proposition and then identifying who you're talking to, writing content that connects with them. So a lot of us, we're going to have multiple, let's say, target groups. We're going to have 3 to 5 different, let's say, customer profiles. Think customer profiles. We call them personas too, or whatever it is. You may start out with a core piece of content that you have. What you can do, and this is where AI is helpful, you guys, is take that core piece of content that you've written. Let's say it's about unique aspects of your product. Okay, you've got 5 or 6 things because you've done your competitive analysis. You know what makes you different. You know what makes you special. Go ahead and you take that stuff in there, that article that you've crafted, that content piece that you've put together. Again, what makes you different. Okay. Now, if you have, let's say, 5 different marketing personas that you're going after, there's going to be unique day parts and things that that are important to them as customers. So you may have, a busy mom. You may have homeschool families. You may have, I don't know. Pick the marketing persona. But what I'm strongly suggesting is you create those personas. You understand what makes them unique and special and different. Why potentially they'd want to buy from you, things that are in their heads that are important to them, that you may want to go ahead and embrace, things that you may want to thoroughly explain. Um, get into, be creative a little bit in terms of the writing. What does their day and week look like? What does their life structure look like? What do they drive? Where do they live? All of that stuff. And you take that material, that, let's say, persona, and you get that into a specific chat, custom GPT, custom gem, a specific Claude project. So what you do is you take that persona and you bake it into a custom GPT or a custom gem, so that you can take this primary article that you've created, and because it's specialized, that bot specialized for that type of individual, right? It will then craft that content with specifics and things that are, let's say, beneficial or more connective to them as a human being. So all to take this content, guys, it's all comes back to content. Understanding the who, what, when, where, why, and how. Building out what, that special content that is uniquely you. And then with the concept of taking those custom gems and, custom GPTs, those actual marketing persona, custom GPTs and things like that, you can actually connect those content pieces and come up with, take that one article and turn it off into 5 different pieces, 6 different pieces at that point, which will then connect at a very, very real level, visceral level with your audience target groups. These devices are going to know where you're driving, who you're connected to, how weather impacts you, how their schedules get impacted, what they're searching for in real time, right? And how it affects your brand and connectivity with your brand. So I hope that helps you guys. I really think that there is a lot of nuanced associations with the AI overview versus the AI mode. But I think a lot of times those conversations get so technical, we lose sight of the bigger picture. Okay, so go ahead, continue to build out excellent content, and let me know if I forgot anything, if you wanted to include anything, things that work for you guys. Hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks much.